I didn't have a choice. It was either going to be quit or die. That was really going to be it. And I will say too that finding bodybuilding in my recovery was a huge help.
Welcome to Bodybuilders Amateur Hour, the recovery edition with Scott McNally. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And right below me is Dion Patterson. What's going on?
Doing well, Josh. Appreciate you asking me to come on.
Of course, buddy. Of course. You're a great guy. I'm glad to have you here. And the one and only Derek McDonald. Macho Man, sorry.
Oh, is that what he's got on for his shirt?
It's more Macho Man, Nacho Man these days, that's for sure. Yeah, great to be here.
Oh, awesome, man. Welcome. So this is the recovery edition of Bodybuilders Amateur Hour. Hopefully, if everything goes well and you guys like what we're doing here, just leave us a comment below and we will keep going. This is going to be kind of like a special thing that we're hoping to do every little while, and here to help everybody. Just get some information out there, and just to show that this is a real thing, and people are not alone with recovery, and I don't mean recovery as in muscle soreness. We're going to go into a few personal stories here and of recovery with, how should I say?
Yeah, I just call myself a recovering addict.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. I'm not sure what I'm also going to be just kind of sitting back and hanging out and listening to your guys' stories and educating myself along the way, if that's okay. And
sounds
hopefully
good.
We're going to be helping. Yeah, good. And hopefully we're going to be helping out everybody else along the way as well. So again,
hopefully we don't scare you, Josh.
No, you guys, I know
we won't go too dark.
No, we'll keep it PG.
Dion, yeah. I know you guys personally quite well, and I know Scott pretty good too, just through all of our interactions over the past couple of years. But you guys are all great, and we're all here to learn and spread the recovery and spread health and wellness, right? So again, like, subscribe, share, and anyone want to do no one knows what I'm talking about. Hit that bell button.
Hit the bell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on, make that algorithm work for us.
Yeah, guys, that's right. All right, and again, please leave some comments below. Let us know what you think, and we're going to be rolling out some more of these episodes, hopefully.
That's right.
All right, Scott, Dion, Derek. Yeah, man. I don't know who wants to go first. If you want to start with kind of, I guess, your story of bodybuilding and recovery. Let's just go around. Scott, you want to?
Man, that's a lot to pack in if we were to,
yes.
Right?
Yeah. So again, like I said, let's try to make this. We're going to try to do this over a couple episodes. If people like it, we're going to just, keep going.
Yeah, I'll just start by, and I'll try to just touch on a few things and say that I'm first of all, I'm definitely an addict, and I always will be an addict. That's just the way that my brain works. But it doesn't mean that I have to use drugs or alcohol today. And it's something that started for me long before I ever took my first drink or used any kind of drugs or anything like that. And it was just something in the way my brain works that's different than other people, I guess. And eventually I did find substances, and I used them as a means of coping, as a means of like controlling my reality, basically is what it comes down to, and not having to deal with feelings, things like that. And, eventually, and it was fun, it was fun at first. And eventually, the further you get into your addiction, the less fun it becomes. And eventually I didn't have a choice. It was either going to be quit, or die, that was really going to be it. And I will say too, that, finding bodybuilding in my recovery was a huge help, that it complemented everything that I had to do in my recovery. Because for me, like I said, it was something that happened like since I can remember, and it runs in my family too, my immediate family, my in grandparents, aunts, uncles, that kind of thing. It's just like kind of in my blood, I guess. But in order to change, I had to change a lot of real core fundamental things. And although I had known bodybuilding all my life, it became like a real instrumental role. And so today, I try to do my best to help share the message of bodybuilding. That's, what I do with the channel, with my channel, Think Big, is we try to share bodybuilding to help people, improve their lives. Not everybody who comes to the channel is an addict. There are people that do. There are a lot of people, in fact, I'd be curious to know who's watching this. Like, how many of you guys are in the same boat that we are? I'd love to see some people comment on that, and yeah, I mean, I'm kind of rambling here just to get a few random points out. I figure I'll let you guys do that, and maybe we'll grab onto a few specifics from there. So that was me just kind of word vomiting a bunch of stuff at you guys to start.
So Scott, how old are you?
Me? I'm 47
Yeah.
now. So yeah, I've been around. Yeah.
Okay, so we're all pretty much the same age. I'm 48.
Okay.
Hey, I'm 36 here. Hold on.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
You're a
Whoa.
young buck.
I'm just
What are
a
you,
young
Josh, 40?
whippersnapper, yeah.
Yeah, 40.
Okay. So me and you were closer in age. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So Derek, yeah, let's go. Yeah.
When
we'll
did
go
you
around.
start training, Scott? At all? Like how old were you?
I started training when I was like 14, 13 even.
Okay.
My dad
Gotcha.
and my mom were both really into lifting, and they trained at the Wayne Rec Center. Wayne was the city next to us, and they had this gym, and the guy Lauren who ran it was like total meathead. He was Persian, and he was like the Persian version of Arnold. He had like the long hair like Arnold. He'd walk around in the track pants that were real tight on his legs, early 80s. Always had like a tank top on. Lats are always flared out. And he never wore shoes. He might wear flip-flops, but he was just a weird, kind of interesting dude. And so he was like really into bodybuilding. And because of that influenced, my parents influenced me. And I used to go to the gym like from the time I could even, I would like, they had like a daycare center, but they let me actually go and hang out in the weight room, and I just kind of sit off to the side while my parents were lifting. So it was something I knew all my life,
pretty cool.
And I had phases of lifting and making progress, and then losing interest in doing something else. And I found that from an early age, the things that I got interested in, I would get really interested in. Like I'd get obsessed with whatever it was, painting or playing guitar or photography or bodybuilding. And I'd go through these waves, of being involved in these different things. And eventually drugs became part of that. But when I got clean, I said to myself, I've never really stuck with anything long term. And I'm always starting over. It's like I'll get into something really big, and then I'll get burnt out on it, and then just my interest would go elsewhere. But what if I just keep doing this one thing and I don't let that go, So it wasn't until my 30s when I actually got clean that I was able to really get consistent. I mean, I stopped using for a couple years without being clean. And I told myself, like, I'm not an addict anymore. I'm not doing that now. I'm a bodybuilder. And I did grow a lot of muscle, but the second I got hurt, it took me out of the game. Like I couldn't train anymore. I got hurt really bad. I needed to use narcotics for the pain, and then that led me right back out the door. So it was after that, then I really got clean, and then from there, I definitely, I got plugged in. I started loving bodybuilding for, what it is. It's taught me so many lessons, and I never let it go from that point.
Okay.
Was that your back injury?
Yeah. I put on some good muscle too at the time. Like I went from being at 115 pounds, literally, to like I want to say it was like 210 or something. So I felt like a different human being, you know, and
Holy smokes.
people treated me different, you know, like when I'd walk into a store, people would give me more respect. They would call me sir, you know, like they treated me like a man, right? Versus like some punk kid. And I liked that.
It's so different, so
you know?
strange, but
I liked
it's
that.
the truth. Yeah.
And I thought to myself that this is the way people see me, then this is who I am. And when I did hurt my back, like I literally left the gym and I was like, I don't even know how I'm going to sit down in my car to leave to go to the hospital. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But I made it there. And the doctor said, he was like, oh, well, you're a big guy, so you're probably going to need more pain meds than the average person. And I honestly, I didn't think it was a problem at the time. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. You know, I'm a big guy. I'm an athlete, you know, and
I'm a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
It's fine.
But it turned out that I hadn't worked on myself at all. All I did was like just not use for 2 years and lift really aggressively, you know, and angrily, you know, and eventually
that's a really
it caught up with
really
me.
Interesting. Yeah. That's a really interesting self-awareness moment.
Yeah.
Of like you worked on yourself so much, so physically, you ignored everything else.
Yeah.
And then,
And then when I couldn't do it anymore, then it was like, well, okay, I guess I'm back to drugs again. You know?
Just a crack, yeah. Interesting. Hey, Derek, what got you into all this craziness from addiction wise to recovery to bodybuilding and back and forth, and like what's your story, man?
Well, we'll start with the addiction side of things, but like you'll probably hear a pretty common trend between the three of us, and we'll say that it started way before we ever had addiction issues. Our issues started well before addiction, you know? So for me, it was like always growing up with a lack of confidence in myself and feeling like the smallest kid in the room. And you know, like there was some childhood trauma that caused me to not be the most trusting person in the world for other people, we'll say.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like that led me down a certain path. And then as I got older, I finally got the confidence to go into the gym and start lifting weights. And then I felt like the person I thought I should feel like, you know? So I was then, like Scott said, I was getting the recognition when I walked into the store. Like people were giving me respect in the gym. Like I was getting that feeling that I always wanted. And then, like I said, there's been dabblings of addictions in here, like nothing serious until about, I would say probably just before the shows that we all did in around 2019.
I remember it. Yep.
My wife and I actually split up about 2 weeks out from that contest. And again, like that was ultimately the best decision her and I have ever made for each other. But it kind of set my emotions on a little bit of a tailspin. And when I came out of those shows, it just was I was having a lot of emotional issues and things like that. And hormones drop because you come off of everything and your hormones are all over the place. And I started getting like these flashback dreams of like what happened as a child. And the only way I could stop the flashback dreams was to not think and to not feel, you know? So I would start drinking to go to sleep. And then I drank to go to sleep, and then it just escalated from there. You know, the drinking got to a point where I would drink so much in the nighttime that I would have to either use cocaine or something like that to get up and be able to function the next day. And like it was just, and once you get there, it just starts to spiral really quickly, you know. And then around, I guess it was a year and a half ago, I kind of basically, my boss at the time, who's an IFBB pro, Santana Anderson, basically came to me and said, you have a choice to either go to rehab and fix yourself and your job's here when you get back, or you gotta walk away. And I mean, that was the point. My parents came in the board. Like there was a couple of times where I was sent to the hospital, the police came to the house, and it was just it was spiraling out of control at that point. And when I went to rehab, I was there like 4 weeks, 28 days. The whole time I was there, I still didn't think I was an addict. When I left there, I still didn't think I was an addict. And I mean, I did the program. I did well. Like I got out what I needed to get out emotionally, but I didn't really believe that I had addiction issues at that point until another life stressor hit and I relapsed, and I knew I had no control at that point. So once I relapsed, I was like, I don't have control over whether I can have a drink tonight and not have one tomorrow, or have a glass of whiskey with my girlfriend while we go out to dinner and not want to continue going with more, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a scenario that just spirals out of control. And one thing I noticed the most for me, and I think Scott kind of touched on this too, is if I find myself wandering away from training and wandering away from bodybuilding, that side of me comes out again. You know, because I don't feel like I have purpose if I'm not competing or I'm not training for a show, and it just kind of leaves me in that point where it's like, okay, well, maybe I can just go home and have a couple shots of whiskey tonight, and then next thing you know, that's every single night again, you know, and it can be tough. It's once an addict, always an addict. Scott said that was the first thing he said, you know. We're all addicts. That's never going to change. We just have to rewire our mind of how we respond to those triggers that make us want to do that, you know. Yeah. So yeah, that's my kind of quick little nutshell of, that's a very Coles Notes version of my situation. But
how did you look? How did you look at that point, physique wise? Like when you were like getting completely trashed and then doing coke in the morning to get up. Like how physique wise, were you still training hard, or did you basically look like garbage at that point too?
You know what? I didn't look terrible.
That makes it harder then. You're like, I got it together.
I hate to say, like,
you know?
I wish I could say, you know, I look like shit. I should say I look like shit. But I was able to somehow maintain a good looking physique. I was still maintaining like over 200 pounds, you know, like I wasn't withering away to nothing. I was still eating a lot.
What year was that?
What's that?
Because what year was that? Because I'm just like, I've seen you, you know, throughout the years, and I'm like, is that when I was like, you were big and I was jealous, and I was like, son of a bitch?
Yeah, I was probably in a bit of a stupor then, yeah. So, but like, I competed there in 2020. Dion and I did that show with the COVID show, I call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did that show in 2020, and then I got a sour taste in my mouth after that. And I didn't compete again until we just did the Gladiator there in 2023. So there was that gap in between there. That was probably my worst of the worst.
Okay.
So that 3-year period was just a roller coaster of up and down. You're like, now I'm not saying I was all day, every day, but there was very big, long periods of binging where it was just not conducive to life, let alone training and bodybuilding, you know, like everything around me was just falling apart. And it got the big kicker for me after the initial relapse was my parents coming to me and saying, we can't do this anymore. Like if this happens again, we have to cut you off out of our life because you're affecting us this way, and this way. You know, and that was like, that was it, you know?
Well, you still looking good through that too. That's one of those things, because I know the way my brain works, and you can kind of go through your day to day and be like, yeah, I'm fine. Look at me. You know what I mean? I still look good. Exactly. It's not like it's taken away from my bodybuilding. People are right. You can still drink and do coke and look good. It's no big deal.
Right. You know? Like I was coaching my clients to live the healthy lifestyle, and I mean, I looked the part, acted the part, and I was in the background. My life was just spiraling out of control. Right.
Yeah.
So it's a tough battle, and it doesn't end. Like the battle doesn't end. Like this is going to probably sound ridiculous to someone who's not an addict, but like, I'll be walking through the grocery store and I'll hear like some random lady with the sniffles, and I'll think she's doing cocaine. You know, it's just my mind is wired to hear those things, and I just think you just think a different way. It's strange. Like it never, and there's not a day that I go through that I don't think about that. You know, like I don't think about alcohol or I don't think about drugs. It's whether I decide to fall into that habit, right?
Yeah.
It's tough. Like you got to wake up every day and tell yourself that you're not going to, and then sometimes you say you're not going to, and you slip up. You know, every one of us has probably had some slips in there, right? And it's not the ideal, but you can't be too hard on yourself at times, and you just got to kind of fight through it and know that you're going to come out on the other end. So
there were points in my early recovery that I felt scared to drive to certain areas because I just felt like my hands might just turn the wheel off at this exit where I know that you can buy drugs, you know, rough parts of town and stuff. That happened for a while, you know, at least a couple years just feeling like maybe I might lose control, and there was like a fear
Mm-hmm.
in there, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and it gets better. I can tell you that just out of experience, 15 years now, that like at this point, man, like I honestly can't imagine like to me, I'm rewired, I think, to the point where like the idea of using makes me kind of nauseous. Like if I see people using drugs on television, like on a documentary or something, it makes me feel kind of sick. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. How long have you been clean for now, Dean?
Well, my two addictions were I was pretty strung out on speed, which would have been meth. That's what they, go by now. But I was basically a drinker. So, when I'd get drinking, I'd want to take something to keep me up so I could drink more. So my thing really didn't start until I was 35.
No kidding.
So
Wow.
yeah. So just to jump through quick, let's just go. Okay, so I'm 16 years old. My mom and dad buy me a membership at a little gym in town. I fall in love with bodybuilding, so I quit all my other sports, and within 10 months, I competed in my first bodybuilding competition. 16 years old, weighed 127 pounds, and I was hooked. Okay, so from there, that's all I wanted to do. All right, so I graduated. I volunteered at YMCA in Fredericton. They hooked me up with a
I'll
certification
try
for
to pull up some
volunteering.
pictures and post, and I'll put those on.
All right.
Yeah. So here I am. Anyways,
I got
I'm
some
pretty good
pictures
shape.
of you
I
there.
competed, 4 or 5 times. Had opened a couple of gyms, and here I am. Like I think I'm 32, 33, maybe somewhere's around there. And I come home from work, and my then fiance has all my garbage bags packed. I had been on a little drunk the night before, for sure. And she said, "I don't love you anymore. I want you to leave." I had a 4-year-old son.
Oh God.
So I kind of swallowed and couldn't quite believe it at the time. But I left, and that image that I saw right there when I left haunted me for the next 10 years. It was my son waving goodbye in my door. It still chokes me up. There's a happy ending to this, though, but it still chokes me up.
Of course.
So that right there, I got to say, because I've been to rehab, I've talked to counselors, I've worked on myself for the last 10 years hard. And I really think that was the tipping point. It was almost like PTSD, because when I'd be on my tears or my drunks or my nightmares, like Derek was talking about, and that thought would always be there. I left my child, or wonder what my boy's doing, and every year would pass by, and I just got worse, right? Till eventually, I'm in trouble with the law. I'm breaching probations. I'm hopping into cars because the keys are in them, and I'm taking stuff that don't belong to me. And my first bit in jail after breaching probation, I got 9 months, which was quite a reality check. I had to serve, I think it was about 5.5 or 6, and I got out, and I had nothing, no place to go. But mom and dad did take me back. Same as with Derek, I had broke every bridge, burned every family member, not intentionally, but I just would avoid them. I wouldn't message them back. I would constantly be in trouble. I wasn't asking them for money, or I wasn't, being violent or anything towards them, but I just was not me whatsoever. And they knew that, right? So to skip along, I try to run from my problems. I ended up out in BC. Once again, I'll go get a job at a gym. I'd get a job, man. I'd get my first paycheck 2 weeks later. There we go. Straight to the bar, man. Hammered. By Monday morning, now you got to go back into work. Maybe cancel a couple appointments, you know what I mean, and get in there late. Reeking like booze still coming off you. Pull that off a couple of times before clients say, "Oh, I can smell the liquor off you."
Yeah.
Right? And eventually you can't keep that up, man. You're not eating. You're just a fake version of your old self, and you're just running on fumes. Derek knows what I mean, especially when you're trying to be a coach or a trainer. Yeah, and you feel fake. You feel ashamed. Don't feel sincere. like I get goosebumps talking about it because I've trained like that and tried to make a living like that. And then I done it when I was sober and feeling innocent, no shame on the shoulders. And it's quite a different way to live for sure. Right. But yeah, I lost everything again. Same old story, right? You run that dry. Eventually your boss got to let you go. Their heart's broken. They care for you. Everyone wants to help you, but you're not helping yourself. So eventually I'm homeless. Okay. Now I'm homeless in Edmonton, and I mean homeless, like, begging for change. Eventually I just change my story. I just say, hey, could you spare some change for some beer? Or I'd just stand by the liquor store and say, hey, buddy, could you please help me out? I need a drink. I'm going to die right here. That's how low I would be, right? Until eventually you get arrested again, you get sobered up, you train in jail, you eat some good food, you come out, you're kind of jacked, and pick up a welfare check for $500 and you're still homeless. So usually you're back to the booze. And then around those friends, you're going to start doing some drugs again. And I did that so many times over and over and over that eventually I cried out to a judge one day. I looked at him, I said, Your Honor, this ain't working. I said, I'm back and forth to jail. I said, it's all alcohol related. I said, all of it is addiction. And he didn't know, but I had wrote a Harvest House in Moncton, a recovery program, to see if I get accepted. And that day in court, there happened to be a gentleman there, and he kind of advocated for me. And the judge released me into his care, and I did 9 months of good, solid. It was a faith-based rehab. But, I believe in God, whatever you want to call him, but I do definitely believe in God. So it was a good spot for me. And it kind of brought me back to my childhood because I was raised in a Christian school. I was always around the Bible. I was always around very positive people that were clean. I mean, my family members weren't alcoholics or drunks. No jail time. They were quite, I don't want to say upstanding people, but they were hard worker, blue collar, and had a good name, And I just felt like I had a second chance to kind of start over. And I was basically about 40, coming close to 40 by that time. So I did the treatment. Man, I'm on fire. I get out. I think I'm going to conquer the world. I don't think it was a couple of months. And I hit even a worse rock bottom. I got back into the speed, drinking. Wow. Having little prostitutes stay with me because I thought I was helping them, right? Everybody living in the old Dion's shack. Eventually, you had 10, 15 people who were also homeless, so coming and going, and you're up all hours of the night, days on end, and you look in the mirror and you're 120 pounds, right? Those are the pictures that kind of started this transformation for me. I was turning 40 years old on my birthday. I still remember. And I looked in the mirror and ribs are all sticking out, and it's sick to see because I didn't realize really how skinny I had gotten. I just knew I didn't like looking in the mirror no more. And, I didn't go out in public, and I definitely wasn't training but I always talked about it. You get high, and you just, I used to do this, and look a picture of me there, and I'm going to get back to it. You know what I mean? Right? So at 40, I told mom and dad, I said, it's not alcohol. I'm hooked on speed. That's why I'm so skinny, and I'm sick. I said, nah, I need some help. And mom and dad actually I left Moncton, and they let me move in, and that was a good start. I moved in there. I got a gym membership down the street, just a small little gym, and started training, started eating. Mom was making good home meals every day. And I got a client, and he happened to be MLA Jake Stewart. Then he's now in Parliament in Ottawa, one of our, politicians. But he's a personal friend of mine, and he was the first guy to take a leap of faith on me, and he hired me. And from there, I never stopped. So I'm going to be 48. I haven't touched speed in 8 years, so I haven't touched it since that day. So I got to give myself, I don't crave it. I'm a lot like you. It repulses me. Like if I walk down the street, like I have a shelter close to my house and I smell meth, or I smell that smell, yeah. So I never ever woke up like when Derek said he thinks about it daily. That's one thing I thank God for, is that I don't even think ever about the
It takes
speed,
time. It
right?
took
Or the
time though, right? It took time
oh,
to, you know.
it totally took time. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you because there's been slip ups with the drinking, right?
Mm.
So drinking became, now you're into bodybuilding, so you're 40, so you get some weight back on, you're training some people. You say, I'm going to compete again. People are kind of laughing a little bit, right? At the gym. I trained, 43, I think I was. Yeah, I was 43. It was 2018. I hit the stage, and I was able to do the novice division because I had never competed for the CPA before. So I competed in novice, classic physique, pretty stacked class, 7 or 8 guys, and I won. So I was like, whoa, I had won ever before, right? I brought home a second place, I think, one time. But so me and my coach, Jamie, and cousin, Jamie Peterson, we just went at it, and he helped me so much, right? And I stayed sober, and I just went on this winning spree. It was just like
You had a
something out
year
of a
that year.
book.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a good
it was a
year.
crazy year,
That
yeah,
was that
for a
was the
little
year of
guy.
Dion, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it was awesome. But the problem was I was still hiding. Like, I do like a show, for example. There's one show, and I won, and I swear to God, I wasn't even. I got back to the hotel, and I just couldn't wait because I bought like whatever 8 or 10, like I don't know, it wasn't much, 8 or 10 beer, and like my trophy, and I'm drinking, right, and I'm just looking at my trophy like, I don't even deserve this. Like,
Hmm.
why is this, like, really though? The judges probably favored me, because like I'm kind of an addict and my story was out, and yeah, they probably half felt sorry for me, right? That's how I couldn't even enjoy the win, right?
That's where
So I would binge after these bodybuilding competitions, and then Sunday'd roll around. I'd grab another case of beer. Before you know it, the clientele that I had built up, over the course of 6 months, you you start breaking promises, right? You start not showing up because you're getting up in the morning and you're drinking, and have no clue why. No clue why.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't want to be sick. That's all it is. It's, oh, I can't do this today. I'm too hungover. I'll have a few beer. I'll get straightened around. I'll try to get some food into me today. It'd be better. Before you know it, man, there's 2 or 3 left in that 15 pack, and you're calling the taxi. Yeah, bring me. Can you bring me another one? The girlfriend's getting mad. Life's starting to go down the toilet again, right? So I found competitions, and I don't know about Derek, but at first it was helping my addiction.
Mm-hmm.
But man, right after a show, holy shit, I would like be a drunk again, like literally a drunk, to a point where it's like, I'm gonna maybe have to go into detox again.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I was really hitting rock bottom, and and I would even tell some of my closest friends, or even some clients, right? Because you didn't want to lose them, so you'd be like, listen, I'm really struggling here, and if you could just bear with me for a week, I'll get my stuff together. And I'm lucky because I'm self-employed, and I guess I have good clients that some of them, would take it, and some of them would, pull stakes and go to another gym or hire other people, right? So I've had those ups and downs after shows, but I stopped that, and I've kind of been on a little bit of a string here. I don't want to jinx it, but there's been a couple, shows recently I did where, absolutely no celebratory drinks after, because that is, one's too many and 100's never enough, right? So,
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
sorry for the ramble there, but like I
It's
said,
good.
it's a mouthful, like Derek
that's
said.
great, man.
It's good, man. I found that for me, it's like it's the looking for something outside of myself, and even in bodybuilding, I feel like it's at times I've struggled in contest preps, because man, contest prep is a great escape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've gotten so wrapped up
It
and
is.
lost in my head during a contest prep. Man, I had my power turned off one time because I didn't pay the bill.
Yeah.
I had the money.
Yep.
It's not like I didn't have the money to pay my, I can't remember if it was gas or electric, but they shut it off. Just because I didn't pay it because I was too busy. I'm trying to get to the gym and make my food and just do the next
Yeah.
thing that I'm going to do. And I just day after day living like that. And I literally got so like lost in my little world of competing. like just a non-reality that I didn't take care of that one basic thing that I needed to do. And I've seen it in clients that are addicts that have used bodybuilding as a way, because it can be a great thing and it can be a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's two-edged sword for sure.
I learned so much like about follow through and actually like putting in hard work and the payoff that you get, seeing myself succeed at something, being able to complete the prep, all those things like that, you get to see a lot of really positive lessons in bodybuilding. But for early recovery, it can be dangerous too, for all those reasons. And like you were saying, and man, post show, it's like, man, I can relate to both of you guys. And, like you were saying, Derek, I could only imagine like losing your significant other, like post show, because you've got nothing to look forward to now, right? Now the show's over.
Yeah.
Your little mirage is gone of life that you've created, and now your life is over too,
Yeah, and it's like sometimes you can use like you said, bodybuilding preps are good in one aspect because you're focused, you're nailed, you're locked in, but you can also use it as two crutches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're using it as your addiction. You're just swapping one for the other. So I mean, I can go lights out and do a contest prep and be 100% on, but then when that's over, there's this big gap in my life.
Yeah.
And what I always tell people, I tell clients, I tell everyone, I don't do well with idle time by myself. If I'm by myself and have idle time, it's not good. I just don't do well. Not to say that I don't like to be alone every now and then, but if I'm having multiple periodic periods where I'm just alone a lot, that's going to be a trigger for me, And if it's going to happen, typically after a prep is where it can spiral for me. So, because like I feel that gap, like where do I go from here?
Yeah. You know what it all is too is, and for myself, I can't speak for you guys, is looking for something outside of myself to make me feel better or make me feel different in some way. Always turning to something else. And I've tried to explain it to clients that maybe were in a bad place and didn't get it. They weren't ready to hear it yet. And I think you guys get that, but it's like bodybuilding. Oh, I lost us. I messed some stuff up here. I have no idea, guys. I'm sorry. I broke it.
It's fine. We'll roll
it's above my pay grade.
Apparently it's above mine too.
Logo. I'm just going to throw our logo right there. Boom.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
It's there. We'll pretend it's there right now.
But yeah, I was just saying it was, we're always looking for things outside of ourselves.
Yeah. It's like it's addiction comes down to endorphins, right? So you're always looking for that endorphin rush from something, whether it's for us, it's like competing or it's training or it's drugs or it's alcohol. You're looking for that endorphin rush from some external source.
Yeah.
And you almost got to learn how to find and get that from the internal source inside of you versus external forces, right? And that's not easy to do.
No. Especially like when you're on such a high through like peak week and then competition and then like the night show, then everything is just, you're the center of attention for weeks upon weeks in like friends, family, gym, and then the show's done and over, and then it's not like it kind of slows down, right? It just doesn't kind of gradually go away. It just stops. Everything is just boom. You wake up Sunday and the routine's gone, the food's gone, everything is just done. But internally, you're like, now what? I feel amazing. I want to keep going. Let's keep this high. And then usually either like in some form we get like the post-show blues, and how do we deal with that? And some people deal with it differently, right? It could be like,
and I mean, like I'm not trying to
food binging. Yeah, go ahead.
Not trying to sound mean here, but like, most of us, like you were saying there, you get the blues and you're not an addict. So most of us kind of a little bit we got some issues anyway. So when you start playing around, that's a sensitive area. So you start, I'll say me, I don't do good depressed. Like I'll give
No.
depression and sadness. I'm growing a couple of weeks, and then I'll say, you know what? To hell with this. I've been living healthy. I'm trying to. Why do I feel like shit? I'm sad. I'm down all the time. I know how to fix it. I'll go have a couple snaps. There you go. And it's almost like a cruelty to yourself. Like you know yourself.
Yeah.
You shouldn't drink, but you're like, no, that's it. I'm tired of being miserable sober.
Hmm.
I don't even laugh. I don't tell jokes anymore. I barely talk to my girlfriend. I'm not the same. I don't even say I love you to anyone. I'm miserable. So
Yeah.
there's the difference. A miserable drunk. I've met many of them at AA, and I'm not knocking AA. It does have its place. It's just over time, it did not work for me when I'm there seeing guys that's been there 60 years and they're not happy. They're miserable. All they do is talk about people.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now if living a sober life is like this, if I have to live sober and be miserable all the time, what fun is that? So that's something where you got to fill that void, right? You got to fill it with something. So we run to that bodybuilding high or whatever, and that's
Yeah.
over. You're half pissed. Really, you're kind of pissed off, and you're looking really. I was looking for an excuse, right? Because that's
Hmm.
what I used to do as an addict. I looked for a good excuse to get drunk. Didn't
Yeah.
realize it
I
at the
got
time.
second, or
Yeah,
or that judge doesn't know what they're
yeah,
talking
whatever.
about.
You got it. It could be
Yeah.
easily as my parents didn't show up to watch my thing. They don't know. They don't care about me. They never did.
Yeah.
See,
Or I
it's,
won.
why do I do?
Or I
Yeah,
won. I deserve it. I did a great job.
Yeah.
I deserve.
There's
I deserve
both
this.
ends, right?
Yeah.
totally. And people saying to you, "Oh man, maybe you shouldn't really maybe have that." No, I'm going to drink. Like if you don't want to watch it, you shouldn't be here. And that's kind of an attitude I would get. So I found myself after these shows, you're by yourself drinking because I didn't really want to let everybody see that I was getting a buzz on. You
Yeah.
know, kind of the truth, right? People be like, "Hey, you going to come out to eat?" No, I'll just sit in the hotel, right? I'm tired. Meanwhile, you stayed up till 4 o'clock in the morning, drinking, and
Yeah.
so
Right.
to me, after the shows was always, yeah, it was definitely always the worst. So, like I said, I'd go and do a show and almost be scared. Like I said to Derek, even at the Gladiator, I was just like,
Yep. We talked about it.
buddy, yeah, we did right after a spray tan, and I
Yeah.
was like, what are you going to have a toddy tonight? Well, he said, I don't know. I don't really think it'd be a good idea. I was like, yeah, I know. I kind of been craving to have a couple beer tonight, but didn't.
Hmm.
Thanks for a
Same.
good decision. But I think just by kind of having that little chat with Derek there at that time, it sounds weird, but I think it helped because I was like, okay, he's going through the same thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like maybe I won't do it. Like not to support him, but like we kind of talked. I was just thinking, well, he didn't really sound like maybe he was all into it, so maybe
Yeah.
I won't be all into it. But if he had said to me, "Oh yeah, bud, you should meet me," text me, I'd have likely been there right beside him drinking.
For sure.
Good
Yeah.
friend,
And I
good
mean,
buddy,
yeah. And I mean, for me, it's all who I'm around too. So like
Yeah,
if I had have been going back to my hotel by myself after the Gladiator, I can almost
yeah,
guarantee you that I would have been obliviated that night. But
yeah,
while I was going back, my girlfriend was there, my good friend Logan was there, another one of our friends was there. So we kind of just got together. Did I have a beer? Absolutely, and I had a
yeah,
half a damn pizza too. But I
yeah,
didn't go,
exactly.
and I didn't go overboard. Like I didn't. If I was by myself, I can
Yeah,
guarantee you that it would have been a disaster, right? And I'm
yeah,
I'm not the
like I
type
said,
of like I'm not a I wouldn't say I'm a partier. Like I don't go and party. I will go in my
yeah,
room by
I'm the same.
myself and do drugs and drink.
Yeah,
And
we're
that's
a lot
that's
alike
that's
that way.
the most dangerous way you can do it. Like it's who knows what could happen. I could be in there for a day and a half by myself and no one even knows I'm dead.
Yeah.
It's
Yep,
scary, right?
Yeah, drugs and
yep,
alcohol, they isolate us over time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When a lot of people I've talked to have had similar accounts as me, that when I first started using, it was more of a social thing, and it was with my
Hmm.
friends. If somebody
right.
else had some beers or whatever, had some
Yeah,
weed, and over time it became something that I just did by myself, and that's
Hmm.
the progression, of the disease too. From the way I look at it, I consider it a disease, and
yeah,
like
For
any
sure.
other mental disease, and that over time, that it gets you isolated, and that's kind of like, the further developed state. I wanted to mention, you mentioned AA. I didn't go to AA, but I did go to a 12-step program, kind of like the sister program to AA.
Yep.
And maybe we had it. I'm lucky here because I'm thinking you guys are isolated up there. You don't have probably as many meetings.
No, personally, there's meetings, but like I said, these are meetings that to someone like myself, I don't feel that I connect with the rest of the members due to the age factor.
Yeah,
due to
that was one of the reasons. Yeah, so when I went to that group, and I didn't feel like I connected to them either, and I found the other fellowship for people that have issues with drugs that I went to, and that one I found more connections, and there were people there that were just like fresh off the street, and then there were people there that had a good amount of clean time. So I wanted to just share too that for me there was positive experience. For anybody that's listening that maybe needs the help, I wanted to say that I would say that for me that 12 step helped me immensely. Had it not been for that, in fact, it was the only thing that actually has been able to like got me out of it and got me to be able to retrain my thinking. But I was lucky, like I said, that we had so many meetings here that I could pick which meetings I wanted to go to, and I could find the key for me was I found the meetings where there were people that were positive, and then I gravitated toward them. But I had early experiences with that other fellowship that there were just like a bunch of old guys that I didn't feel like I related to. That said, one thing, and this is for anybody new that's listening, one thing that was told to me is that, and they said, there's going to be a lot of differences between you and the other people in all the meetings that you go to. And they said, try to focus on your similarities versus the differences, because there are those similarities too. And so that's what I did. But the only reason I went, honestly, because I fought it for all my life. Like my first meeting, I think I was 16 years old. And then I had to, when I was in high school, they had this program. I got to get out of class and go to it like once every Tuesday at like 1:00 or something. And it was like a small 12-step type group at the school. And I fought it all the way from that time, and it wasn't until I like actually wanted to quit, because I tried everything. Like I tried literally everything else. I tried going to doctors and psychiatrists and medications and just white knuckling it for 2 years in bodybuilding, and finally I found good people. I think that's the key, man. And that does suck. If you're in a community where you can't find those good people, then I could see it would be a different situation,
Yeah, and especially up where Dion's at, it's pretty isolated up there, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Here in Halifax, like if I wanted to go to 90 meetings in 90 days, I'm sure I could find them here in Halifax. Would they be all the group that I want to talk to? Probably not. Right. But I could go to a meeting every single day if I want to. I know for a fact that's not available to you up in Miramichi. It's just not, right?
It's like this. There's meetings, right? There's meetings all over, and the 12-step program, it's an awesome program. I actually read the big blue book in jail a couple of times, the AA book. And I've done the 12-step program twice. It was a 12-step. It's just a faith-based 12-step. It's the exact same as the AA. So it's an awesome program. But I guess maybe what I'm saying is, when I went, maybe for me, I needed something different. And what I mean by that is, mine was more of, I had to bring some stuff out, like that was, I think, hidden in me for a long time, like some childhood trauma stuff. That was me. And at these meetings, because I shouldn't really shit on them, because I guess I didn't really participate. I mean, honestly, right? I talked about alcohol, but I didn't talk about, I didn't talk about shit that happened to me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I think the reason I would keep relapsing too, and maybe that's why I'm in better shape now and I'm more aware now, is I started actually talking about some stuff that happened, some bad stuff.
Yeah.
Right. If you get molested when you're a kid, right, when you're 7, 8, 9 years old by your uncle is something that you store away. You don't really feel like bringing that up later. But if it's still there and you haven't dealt with it, you're like, wait a minute, there's something else here that I better deal with, because it's affecting all aspects of your life, whether it be
Oh, hell
relationships,
yeah.
how to love
Yeah.
other people. The list goes on, right? I mean, I've studied addiction till I was blue in the face. Like
Yeah.
bodybuilding, I could figure bodybuilding out, man. I could figure it out. I could find the right recipe, but I could not figure out addiction.
I hear you. I can
Um,
relate to that 100%,
right?
man.
Yeah.
I tried to
And I,
analyze it and read the books and everything else
yeah,
and psychiatrist it and all that. And yeah, I still kept
yeah,
going back.
and I think for me, it was more of like, it's not willpower. For
Yeah.
me, it's not, and it's not even cravings. It's once I'm in it, it grabs me and I stay in it for a long time. And I know
Yeah.
I don't want to be in it. I don't want to
Yeah.
be here,
Hmm.
right? So, but it pulls me in. So I find the longer I stay away from it, obviously, and you've proven this 15 years, eventually, and I'm just getting on the cusp of that now. There's no drive. There's no desire. Like for example, this weekend in Nova Scotia, I could have had a couple of beer. The girlfriend wouldn't have been upset one bit, right? We had a steak, no problem. But I stopped and I said, "Do I really want it? Because like I want a beer. It's nice and cold. It's really going to taste good. But I like the buzz, so
Mm.
I'd have to drink another couple. But then I got to leave the restaurant. I'm going to have a little buzz. I'm walking at Halifax. Shit, I'll have to go to the liquor store now to
Yeah.
get a few more for the hotel room, because this buzz has to carry over. I can't be tired. I can't be all lazy and walking around. So I kind of already played it out in my head what was going to happen, which happens every time, right?
Yeah.
And to me, it was quick. It was quick and painless. And came home. I'm sober. I'm here talking to you guys, which is awesome, because I wouldn't be if I was drinking. So, to me, this is like a meeting right here.
I'm glad you're here, man, by the way.
Yep.
Just so you know, I'm really glad you're here.
Thanks,
Yeah,
pal.
I'm really glad everyone showed up. Um, yeah, so just like we said earlier, we're gonna try to keep this short,
Yep.
and I think that was a fantastic way to end, man. It's just there's like so many. We're just on the top of the iceberg here, I think. And I think we can really go deep into this. And I know a lot of people are going to have a lot of really amazing questions. And as you guys are talking, I'm like sitting here making mental notes that there's a lot of stuff that I really want to get in there and ask, that we can maybe make topics up for different episodes coming up. So if
Right.
that's okay with you guys, I think this would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to.
Well, I like
keep rolling with
for
this.
you, Josh, as the only one necessarily on this panel that doesn't have the issue or the disease of addiction. It
Right.
can be sometimes hard to understand our rationale. Like Dion's rationale, I've used that same rationale in my own work, in my own life. Like
As have
if
I.
I have a couple beer at supper, I'm gonna catch that buzz. If I catch that buzz, I'm gonna want more. If I want more, then I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna do this. So it's like you have to. They say in rehab, and they say in the 12-step program, play the tape to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play it all the way through.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have that one beer, play it all the way through to see where that's gonna take you. And if you see it
Yeah.
taking you somewhere that's not good, then don't have that beer, right? So it's a hard thing for non-addicts to really understand where our mind is at times, because it's like I said, it's every day,
I feel like
Yep,
they got to
it is.
update that analogy for like any of the new millennials that come into AA and NA.
What's a tape?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a
we
good
need
one
an
though.
updated version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good
Yeah.
one though. I've used that one myself a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
It does work, but I guess
And it makes
millennials
sense.
and younger people won't understand.
yeah.
It really makes sense. It really makes sense. Yeah, so I love to get you guys back on, and we'll get really more into this stuff. And I'm really curious too for maybe next week or whenever we're able to get back together about PEDs and addiction as
That's
well.
a good topic.
Right?
Yeah.
For sure.
I know even though I do not have like an alcoholic or drug addiction, I've used PEDs, and there's times where I just don't want to stop
Yep.
because of the
Yeah.
because of the look, a show is done,
Yep.
and I'm like, I think I could keep going a couple more weeks. I think I could keep going. Let's see where this takes me, right?
Yep.
And like, so with that mentality that I have, I'm just really curious on what how that plays into your guys' life as well. And if we can like maybe get into that next time.
That'd be
Yeah.
It's
great.
another one of
Awesome.
the,
That's a
another
great
one of those
topic.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that's another one of those things that's easy to justify and
Yeah.
talk yourself
Yep.
into. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So again, everyone, subscribe, share, and leave comments. We want some good questions. Uh, these guys are all really open, and we want some good questions for them, and see where we can take the next episode. Cool. Awesome, guys. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it, Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
being
having
on.
me.
You guys are
Thank you.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being so open with this. And I know it's going to definitely help or inspire a lot of people just to know that, we're not all alone, right? Everyone's got something.
That's right. Maybe someone will
So,
see this
Yeah.
and they won't use today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully. Hopefully.
yeah. We also
Today,
have,
that's a good motto, like you guys were saying.
yeah,
Today we're not going to. Today we're
Yeah.
sober.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I just want to dedicate this episode, our first recovery episode, to a really dear, close friend of mine and everyone else, Scott. Not sure if you know him, but he's going through it right now. And so I just want to dedicate this episode to him. And I'm sure he's going to watch it. And we love him. We love you, buddy. And we're here for you.
You're not alone.
Absolutely.
You're not,
Yeah.
you're not alone, man.
Definitely in our
So-
prayers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reach out to any of us anytime. Do you guys have, you want to give your social media handles out if anyone has any questions? Do you care if people want to reach out to you?
No,
Sure.
anybody, anytime can reach out to me. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
I
yeah,
guess I should
so-
tell them what my Instagram
yeah,
is, but
There you go.
What's your Instagram, or how do people get a hold of you guys if they have questions or want to talk? Let's go, Scott. What's your
You know what? I'm better on email than on social media.
Okay.
I don't always check my messages on DM.
That's
McNally Diet,
true.
McNallyDiets@gmail.com, and you can follow. We do some occasional content about recovery at our channel, Think Big
Yeah.
Bodybuilding Media.
Yeah, your guys' channel, Think Big, is amazing. Everyone, check it out. I watch it all the time. I have to be
Well,
honest.
thank
I actually listen on Spotify. That's where I get most of my Think Big, and it's just bodybuilding content. So,
Nice.
but I do get onto YouTube on there and just throw in the likes and throw it a comment just to
Well,
help
thank
out
you.
anyways.
We appreciate it.
But I'm a Spotify person when it comes to that. But
Yeah, when
Derek?
Josh told me that we were coming on with you, Scott, I kind of creeped you a little bit there, and I also pushed the subscribe button, so I am
thank
one of
you.
your subscribers now.
Thanks, man.
But if you want to find me, it's Coach D Hammerdown on Instagram. But Dion Peterson, you'll find me anywhere. I'm just TikTok or Facebook, Instagram. I'm on all three, kind of playing around there and seeing what we can do. Get some people in shape, maybe get some people. I find like what I get is I'll get some guys ask me about competing and stuff, but before I know it, like it happened to me this summer, that they started opening up about, I heard you had some struggles with drinking, or I heard you had a struggle here.
Yeah.
Hey, I also had this, and this. Maybe I should get back to the gym. For some reason, and I mean that's a good thing. It's a good thing that I find addiction now is starting to be a bit of I don't want to say conversation piece, but it's a way for people to open up to me and kind of tell me their problems and maybe lead them into the fitness path as well, right? So a lot like what you guys are doing.
Yep, for sure. Awesome. Derek?
yeah, they can find me just my name, Derek McDonald 87 on Instagram or Facebook, just through my name, or anywhere really. If you want to shoot me a message, you can give me a text, anything. I'll always reach out. So
Cool.
yeah. I'm not a big social media person these days anymore, but I'm there. I lurk around.
Okay, awesome. Great on.
He's got
Thanks,
too
guys.
many. He's got too many clients already. That's why he's packed full.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that these days, but
Cool. Well, thanks, guys, very much. I really appreciate it, and we'll be chatting soon, I'm sure.
sounds good.
Thanks, bud.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Josh.
Yeah, thanks,
Be good
Josh.
meeting you guys.
Yeah,
You
same,
too,
man.
Scott. Yeah.
Pleasure.
Hammer down, guys.